My sister texted me, "No birthday celebrations this year. Finances are tight." I agreed without question. Then I glanced at the family group chat and saw her son's extravagant party, complete with a magician, a bounce house, and piles of presents. My son Mason looked at me and asked, "Why didn't we have mine?" I took a quick photo of the rent envelope I'd been covering for them and sent it to the chat with the caption, "Sent back to sender." By 8:22 a.m., my mom had called me 29 times. Mason kept asking if they were just running late. He'd spent the morning darting between the front door and the backyard, wearing his favorite shirt picked out the night before. He'd woken up earlier than me, buzzing with excitement, asking when everyone would show up. He helped with every detail, setting out plates, inflating a few wobbly balloons, and crafting name tags for his cousins from old index cards. He even saved the biggest slice of cake for Cody, my sister's son, knowing he loves the corner piece with extra frosting. As the hours ticked by, I kept checking my phone for messages. Maybe a last-minute excuse or an emergency. Nothing came. Mason wondered aloud if Grandma's car had broken down. I nodded, pretending it was plausible, though I sensed something else. By dusk, the hot dogs were cold and the paper tablecloth fluttered in the breeze. Mason sat on the porch steps, his little welcome family sign drooping beside him. I suggested a movie night, just the two of us. I didn't share the thoughts swirling in my head. Inside, I cleaned up quietly and made the mistake of opening the family group chat. The first image was Cody holding a sparkler, his face glowing in front of a pirate ship-shaped cake. I scrolled further. My mom was there, cradling Cody. My dad was at the grill. A bounce house, a magician with a top hat and a live rabbit, stacks of gifts. Everyone was there, even neighbors I recognized. Everyone except us, except the boy who waited all day with his handmade name tags. I stared at the photos for a long time before Mason peeked over my shoulder. In a small voice, he asked, "Why didn't they come to mine?" I had no words. I set the phone down and told him we'd watch any movie he wanted. But inside, I was seething. A week earlier, my sister, Haley, had texted me, claiming they were skipping birthdays because money was tight. She thanked me for understanding. I believed her. I didn't push or guilt trip. I explained to Mason that not everyone can afford parties every year. But clearly they could, for everyone but us. It wasn't about the party itself, not the magician or the gifts. It was the message. We weren't important anymore. That night, while tossing out the remnants of the party that never happened, I noticed their rent envelope on the counter. I'd been covering their rent for 2 months. No questions asked, no gratitude received, just the expectation that I'd keep doing it. I snapped a photo, posted it in the group chat, and wrote, "Return to sender." No explanation, just that. By 8:22 a.m. the next day, my mom had called 29 times, Haley 6. Their voicemails dripped with guilt, starting with, "What's going on?" and ending with, "This isn't fair to Cody." Not one mentioned Mason. That was when it hit me. Somewhere along the line, I'd stopped being family and become a resource. As long as I paid, showed up, and stayed silent, I was welcome. The moment I stopped being useful, we vanished from their world. I didn't answer their calls, not from Mom, not from Haley, not from anyone. The missed calls piled up like accusations they wanted me to carry. By noon, more came. Haley's voicemails started casual, then shifted to manipulation mid-sentence, calling me cold, saying I must be struggling, claiming I was hurting Cody. Still, no one mentioned Mason. That silence said everything. I stopped engaging with the group chat. They kept posting as if nothing had happened. Brunch photos at Haley's, a poll about Thanksgiving hosting, talk of matching Christmas shirts. I didn't reply. Mason didn't either, though his absence was never their concern. A week later, I thought they might get the hint. Then Haley texted me privately, "So you're really cutting us off over a misunderstanding?" A misunderstanding. I left it unread. 5 hours later, another message. "You could have asked. We didn't mean to hurt you. We thought Mason wouldn't notice." That line burned. We thought Mason wouldn't notice. As if that made it okay. He noticed every day. He asked if Cody was upset with him, if he'd done something wrong. He wondered why Grandma didn't call, why Uncle Rick said he was too busy but was playing cornhole in the party videos. After 3 days, he stopped asking. Kids shift quietly when they realize answers aren't coming. I didn't answer their calls. Instead, I started investigating. I checked my bank account and found unfamiliar charges. Spotify Premium, Amazon Prime, kids' game subscriptions for an iPad we didn't own. Grocery deliveries from stores 2 towns over. All linked to my card, used by Haley or her husband. A year ago, I'd shared my card to help them through a tough spot, just for groceries, they said. I forgot about it. They didn't remind me. So I canceled everything, passwords changed, accounts unlinked, subscriptions killed. Netflix was the first thing Haley noticed. She texted, seriously, Cody was watching a show, no greeting, no apology. I walked into Mason's room, saw him curled up with his stuffed panda, watching cartoons on my old laptop. I snapped a photo and sent it to her, no caption. She didn't reply. My mom did. 2 days later, Mom showed up at my door, acting like she belonged there. I opened it halfway. She launched into a speech about me being dramatic, Haley being overwhelmed, Cody being sensitive, and family requiring compromise. Not a word about Mason. I let her talk, her eyes darting past me, expecting an invitation inside. I didn't offer one. When she paused, I said, "You can come in if you bring the gift Mason never got." She blinked, said nothing, and walked to her car. I watched her drive off, her face showing no remorse. It stung more than I expected, but something clicked that day. Not anger, not vengeance, but clarity. They'd chosen convenience over connection, duty over love. They assumed I'd keep playing the fixer, the quiet helper, no matter how invisible they made us feel. I was done. They went quiet after that, not silent, but a loud kind of quiet, like they were waiting for me to cave. To apologize, to fix things, like always, Haley stopped texting. Mom didn't call for a week, a lifetime in her world. Instead, she posted a passive-aggressive Bible verse in the chat about forgiveness and healing. No one reacted except Uncle Nate, who dropped a heart emoji. He's always been the family's emotional buffer. What surprised me was how easily they moved on, at least outwardly. I watched the chat from a distance, photos from Cody's soccer game, Mom planning a family beach weekend in October. My name was never mentioned, never tagged. I wondered if I'd overreacted, if they'd just messed up and didn't know how to apologize. Then Mason came home from school and said something that erased my doubts. He asked if he should invite Cody to his next birthday or if it would be too weird. That word, weird from a 7-year-old. I told him no, that some people only show up when it's convenient, and real family isn't about shared last names or group chats. He nodded and went back to playing. I pulled back further after that, quietly, deliberately. I removed myself from the family phone plan, something I'd paid for years without question. 4 lines, mine, Mason's, Haley's, and her husband's. They never offered to chip in. I called the carrier, dropped their numbers. The rep asked if I was sure. I said yes. 3 hours later, Haley texted from a new number. My phone's off. Seriously, Ethan? I didn't reply. Then she emailed, "You're punishing me for something we didn't mean. Cody's crying because he can't FaceTime his friends. Can we stop this?" There it was again. We didn't mean, as if that erased Mason's birthday, the empty porch, the untouched name tags. They didn't just skip a party, they skipped him. I didn't post about it, didn't call them out publicly. I just stepped back. A week later, my dad texted, his first message in months. "Don't make this worse, be the bigger person." I stared at those words. It took everything not to send a photo of Mason's untouched birthday table, name tags still in place. But I was done reminding them of what they chose to ignore. Instead, I deleted the group chat, left without a word. 2 days later, a cousin texted asking if I was okay. I told him to ask the people still in the chat. He said, "They think you're just going through something." I laughed. I wasn't going through something, I was done with them, and it felt good. Weeks passed. I thought they'd give up, that they'd finally get it. But my family doesn't quit when it comes to rewriting the narrative to paint themselves as victims. On a Saturday morning, Mason found an envelope on the porch, cream-colored, heavy, with a wax seal. I knew that seal. Mom used it for every major family event, like she was running a royal court from her Ohio rental. Mason handed it to me, grinning, saying, "We got invited." I opened it slowly, already suspecting what it was. A wedding invitation, Haley's wedding. That hit hard. She wasn't married, not officially. She and Ryan had been together for years, had kids, a mortgage, but always said they didn't need a ceremony, proud of their free spirit status. Now they were having a full-blown wedding, and we weren't supposed to know. I read the invite 3 times, checked the envelope. The handwriting wasn't Mom's. It was addressed to the people who lived here before us 2 years ago. They'd used an old address list, and one invite slipped through. Mason was watching, so I told him it was junk mail and tucked it away. That night, after he was asleep, I read it again. Beach ceremony, full catering, elevated coastal dress code, gift registry at 3 upscale stores and in gold lettering. Please RSVP by the 12th for headcount. We hope to celebrate with our loved ones. Loved ones. I laughed bitterly, the kind of laugh that signals something breaking inside. They'd planned a wedding, sent invites, booked a venue, all while telling me they couldn't afford a backyard birthday with hot dogs and dollar store decorations. And they didn't even mean to tell me. I left the invite on the table, stared at it for hours. Then an idea hit, petty yes, but necessary. The next morning I found their registry online, bought the priciest item, a $900 copper cookware set, and had it shipped to my house. When it arrived, I photographed it and texted Haley. For the bride who couldn't afford her nephew's party, she didn't reply. 20 minutes later, Mom did. "You're going too far, Ethan. This isn't the way." I didn't respond. Instead, I listed the cookware online, sold it for $650, and used the money to book a lakeside cabin for Mason and me the weekend of their wedding. Just us, same dates, different plans. On their wedding day, I posted one photo. Mason on the dock, fishing pole in hand, smiling wide in the blue hoodie he'd wanted to show Cody months ago. No caption, no tags, just a quiet reminder that while they posed in rented suits for a crowd, we were living our truth. That stung more than any words could. After the wedding, the silence was deafening. No texts, no tagged photos, no questions about where we were. They'd erased us from their story, hoping we wouldn't notice. But we did. Mason loved the lake, caught nothing, but called it the best unbirthday ever. I didn't unpack that. I knew what he meant. 3 days later, my cousin Dan texted, "You got 5 minutes." "This is awkward," I called him. Dan doesn't beat around the bush, which I respect. He said he didn't realize we weren't at the wedding until people asked about Mason at the reception. He asked Haley where we were. She said I was traveling for work and needed space. I stayed silent. Dan continued. A few relatives had wondered, too. Aunt Marie brought a small gift for Mason, thinking he'd be there. Haley hid it under a table and told everyone I wasn't into weddings. Dan said it felt off, rehearsed. Then he dropped the kicker. At brunch the next morning, Haley and Ryan asked for honeymoon contributions, not subtly, in front of Mom, cousins, and Uncle Nate. Haley had a list of potential donors. My name was on it. An hour later, I was added back to the group chat. No explanation, just 100 plus new messages. I scrolled through, wedding photos, toasts, hugs, then Haley tagged me. "I know things have been rough, but let's move forward. We're family and life's too short for grudges. If anyone wants to help with our honeymoon fund, here's the link." No pressure, just love. I read it 3 times. She had the audacity to ask me, the guy whose kid they ignored, to fund her vacation. I didn't reply. Instead, I pulled up the $900 cookware receipt, proof of the generosity they expected, the version of me they thought still existed. Dan texted again, "They're planning a November beach weekend. Probably to fix things, heads up." I saw it for what it was, not reconciliation, but narrative control, making me look like the distant one while they played the loving family. So I posted one thing in the chat. A photo of Mason holding his crumpled "Welcome, fam" sign, taken the day after his birthday, sitting on the porch, still hoping someone would show. I wrote, "Don't worry about the honeymoon fund. You've already taken everything I had to give." I hit send, left the group, blocked the admin so I couldn't be added back. 10 minutes later, Dan texted, "That photo hit hard. People are talking." Grandma cried. I didn't reply. They'd refused to see it the first time. I wasn't going to beg them to look again. They wanted me back just enough to keep their story intact, not enough to own their actions. I was done playing. The silence grew after that. A week, 2, then a month. No calls, no invites, no half-hearted apologies. They didn't even try to rewrite it this time. I think they finally got it. I wasn't coming back. Then late one night, I got a Facebook message from Jenny, Haley's old college roommate. She was at the wedding, heard Haley's version. I overreacted, was bitter, made a scene. Jenny didn't buy it. She remembered how I'd shown up for Haley back in their broke college days, wondered when it would stop being enough. I didn't reply, but it meant something that someone saw it. Thanksgiving came. No invite, no text, no "we missed you." Mason didn't ask about them. He'd stopped expecting them. He started asking about friends instead. Could Liam come over? Could Jacob sleep over? He stopped drawing his cousins in his pictures, stopped asking to call grandma. I didn't push. Kids know who shows up. I wasn't going to rewrite that for him to preserve someone else's idea of family. Then came the final straw, the one I should have seen coming. Ryan, Haley's husband, texted me. "I don't know what Haley said or what your issue is, but she's upset. If you want to be family again, someone has to step up first. Don't let this go too far. No accountability, just a nudge like I was the one holding out." But there was nothing left to collide with. I sent one final message to Ryan. "Tell her this. I didn't leave family. I just accepted the invitation you gave me when you didn't show up for Mason. You moved first. I just stopped waiting. I blocked his number. That was it. No fire, no fight, just absence, a clean end. I deleted the old photos from my phone, not to forget, but because I didn't want Mason growing up staring at people who wouldn't show up in real life. We built something new, smaller, quieter, but real. Friends who became family, dinners that felt easy, birthdays where every guest brought presents, not just presents. One night, months later, Mason asked if Cody ever wrote to him. I said no. He didn't ask again. I didn't tell him Haley never did either. Some truths don't need repeating. Some goodbyes don't need words, they just need to be lived.